For decades, one name dominated the farm fields: John Deere. But in the 1980s, that dominance was seriously challenged. Massey Ferguson didn't try to copy. They attacked with better value, brutal reliability, and tractors built to work harder for less money. These weren't underdogs, they were direct rivals. Some of these Massey Ferguson models matched Deere in power, beat them in simplicity, and earned loyalty from farmers who cared more about performance than paint color. Today, we're counting down the 10 Massey Ferguson models from the 1980s that challenged John Deere, the machines that proved green wasn't the only color farmers could trust. Stay with us, because this rivalry reshaped modern farming. Number 10. Massey Ferguson 3050. The Massey Ferguson 350 may not look like a headline-grabbing machine, but in the context of the 1980s tractor market, it played a far more important role than its modest horsepower suggests. Introduced as part of the 3000 series during the mid-1980s, the 3050 represented Massey Ferguson's strategy to defend and reclaim territory that John Deere had steadily expanded into with its smaller utility tractors. This was a period when farmers were becoming extremely cautious with money. Margins were tightening, fuel prices were unpredictable, and buyers wanted tractors that delivered real work without unnecessary complexity. The 3050 was built around that philosophy. Instead of chasing maximum horsepower, Massey Ferguson focused on efficiency, torque delivery, and long-term durability. Its engine was tuned to provide strong low-end pulling power rather than high-rev performance, making it ideal for tasks like seedbed preparation, light tillage, hay work, and PTO-driven implements. In real-world farming, that mattered more than paper specifications. Farmers didn't need a flashy machine, they needed something that would start every morning and work all day. Where the 3050 truly challenged John Deere was in cost-to-capability balance. Deere's smaller tractors were well built, but they were often priced at a premium. The 3050 delivered similar real-world output at a noticeably lower purchase cost, and maintenance was simpler thanks to Massey Ferguson's straightforward mechanical layout. Filters, belts, and service points were easy to access, and local mechanics were already familiar with MF systems, reducing downtime during peak seasons. Another key advantage was operator familiarity. Many farmers upgrading to the 3050 were coming from older MF models. The controls felt intuitive, the layout made sense, and there was no steep learning curve. This continuity helped Massey Ferguson retain loyal customers who might otherwise have switched to John Deere when modernizing their fleets. The MF 350 didn't aim to dominate fields, it aimed to dominate value. And in the 1980s, when farmers compared price tags, repair bills, and fuel consumption, the 350 quietly proved that Massey Ferguson could still compete where it mattered most: everyday farm work. Number 9. Massey Ferguson 36. The Massey Ferguson 360 was one of those tractors that earned respect not through marketing hype, but through consistent performance across countless farms. Positioned just above the 3050 in the 3000 series lineup, the 3060 was designed to be the true do-it-all tractor, and in the 1980s that put it directly against some of John Deere's most popular mid-range models. What made the 3060 so effective was its balance. It offered noticeably more power than the entry-level machines, but without the fuel consumption or bulk of larger tractors. This made it especially attractive to mixed farms that needed one tractor to handle multiple roles: field work during planting season, PTO operations during harvest, transport jobs, and loader work year-round. In many cases, the 3060 replaced two older tractors with a single modern machine. Massey Ferguson paid close attention to hydraulics and PTO performance on the 3060. These systems were strong enough to handle increasingly heavier implements that became common during the 1980s. Deere had long been respected for hydraulic reliability, but the 3060 closed that gap significantly. Farmers discovered that MF's hydraulics were not only capable, but easier to service and less sensitive to minor wear. Comfort also improved significantly. The cab was quieter, visibility was better, and controls were laid out with long working days in mind. While John Deere still carried a reputation for superior cab comfort, the difference was shrinking, and for many buyers, it was no longer enough to justify Deere's higher prices. Another major factor was fleet economics. Contractors and larger farms often bought multiple tractors at once. Choosing Massey Ferguson 360s instead of Deere equivalents could save a substantial amount up front while still delivering reliable performance. Over time, those savings added up, especially when parts availability and repair costs remained manageable. The 3060 didn't try to outmuscle John Deere. Instead, it challenged Deere by proving that practical engineering and smart pricing could win just as many farms. Number 8. Massey Ferguson 3070-3075. The Massey Ferguson 3070 and its later evolution, the 3075, marked a critical step in Massey Ferguson's 1980 strategy, moving confidently into heavier utility territory without losing the simplicity that farmers valued. These tractors were aimed squarely at farms that had outgrown mid-range machines and needed something capable of sustained heavy work, a segment traditionally dominated by John Deere. What separated the 3070 series from smaller models was its ability to handle real draft loads. Larger plows, heavier cultivators, and modern seed drills demanded more from tractors in the late 1980s, and the 3070 delivered. Its stronger drivetrain, improved lift capacity, and higher PTO output meant it could work longer hours under load without feeling strained. The 3075 refined this formula further. Incremental improvements in engine efficiency, cooling, and cab ergonomics made it better suited for extended workdays. These weren't radical changes, but they mattered in practice. Farmers noticed fewer overheating issues, smoother operation, and improved operator comfort, areas where John Deere had traditionally held an edge. One of the biggest advantages Massey Ferguson leveraged here was maintenance philosophy. The 3070 series remained mechanically logical. Diagnostics didn't require specialized tools, and most repairs could be handled locally. In contrast, some Deere models were becoming increasingly complex, which pushed up service costs and reliance on dealers. For farmers calculating long-term ownership costs, the 3070 and 3075 made a strong case. They offered comparable field performance, strong resale value, and lower lifetime expenses. In regions where Massey Ferguson had strong dealer networks, these tractors became genuine Deere alternatives, not compromises, but smart business decisions. Number 7. Massey Ferguson 3080-3085. By the time you reach the Massey Ferguson 380 and 3085, the rivalry with John Deere becomes impossible to ignore. These tractors were designed for serious arable work, and they represented Massey Ferguson's determination to compete head-to-head with Deere in the fields that mattered most, large, demanding operations where breakdowns were unacceptable. The 3080 series delivered substantial horsepower paired with a drivetrain built for constant heavy loads. Deep tillage, large cultivators, and wide implements were becoming common in the 1980s, and the 3080 was engineered to handle them without compromise. Farmers frequently remarked on how solid these tractors felt, a key psychological factor when pulling expensive equipment across large fields. Hydraulic capacity was another area where the 3080 excelled. Lifting heavier implements and maintaining consistent control gave operators confidence, especially during headland turns and transport. Deere had built its reputation on exactly these strengths, and the 3080 proved that Massey Ferguson could match them. Crucially, the 3085 refinement improved reliability and operator comfort even further. Better cooling systems, incremental cab upgrades, and smoother power delivery meant these tractors could work long hours during peak seasons without excessive fatigue or downtime. What truly challenged John Deere, however, was ownership reality. The 3080 series often cost less to buy, less to maintain, and less to repair, while delivering nearly identical productivity. For many large farms, that equation was impossible to ignore. The 3080 and 3085 didn't just compete with Deere. They earned respect in Deere-dominated regions, proving that Massey Ferguson still belonged at the top of the field. Number 6. Massey Ferguson 3090 and later 3095. The Massey Ferguson 3090 and later 3095 represented a turning point in Massey Ferguson's 1980s strategy. These tractors were no longer just competitive alternatives. They were deliberate challengers aimed directly at John Deere's stronghold in the 100-plus horsepower segment. This was the range where farms expected a tractor to handle primary tillage, long transport runs, and high-demand PTO work without hesitation. Anything less than full confidence meant lost time and lost money. The 3090 delivered serious horsepower paired with a chassis designed to manage continuous heavy loads. Unlike smaller models that balanced versatility and economy, the 3090 was built with endurance in mind. Farmers running deep plows or heavy discs found that the tractor held steady under load, with power delivery that felt smooth and controlled rather than aggressive or strained. That unstressed feeling became a recurring theme in how operators described it, a trait that John Deere owners had long praised in their own machines. Cab improvements played a major role here. Massey Ferguson knew that competing at this level meant matching Deere on operator comfort. Noise levels were reduced, visibility improved, and controls were arranged for efficiency rather than novelty. Long days in the field became more manageable, which mattered enormously during planting and harvest windows when downtime simply wasn't an option. Where the 3090 truly separated itself was maintenance practicality. Despite its power, the tractor retained Massey Ferguson's mechanical logic. Farmers and independent mechanics could service it without relying exclusively on dealership tools. In contrast, Deere's machines in this class were becoming more complex and increasingly tied to dealer diagnostics. For farms expanding acreage in the late 1980s, the 3090 and 3095 offered something rare: high horsepower with predictable ownership costs. That made them legitimate Deere replacements. Not second choices, but smart investments. Number 5. Massey Ferguson 390. Few Massey Ferguson tractors from the 1980s earned the reputation enjoyed by the MF390. This model became synonymous with reliability, simplicity, and raw mechanical toughness, qualities that many farmers valued more than brand prestige. While John Deere dominated headlines, the 3090 dominated daily farm routines. The MF390 was designed for versatility. It handled field work, loader tasks, PTO operations, and transport with equal confidence. Its engine was tuned for torque rather than speed, allowing it to pull steadily through tough conditions without excessive fuel consumption. Farmers often described it as a tractor that never felt tired, even after long days of continuous work. One of the biggest strengths of the 3090 was its conservative engineering. Massey Ferguson avoided unnecessary complexity, focusing instead on proven components that could withstand years of hard use. Transmissions were robust, hydraulics were dependable, and repairs rarely required specialized tools. In contrast, some Deere models in the same class began incorporating systems that increased service costs and dependency on dealer support. The 390 also excelled in resale value. Because of its reputation, used examples remained in high demand, often selling quickly and for strong prices. This reinforced buyer confidence. Farmers knew that choosing a 390 was not just a purchase, but a long-term asset. In regions with strong Massey Ferguson dealer networks, the 3090 became a direct alternative to Deere's mid-power tractors. It didn't win on marketing flair, but it won on trust. And in agriculture, trust often outweighs everything else. Number 4. Massey Ferguson 375 and 377. The Massey Ferguson 375 and 377 filled a crucial niche during the 1980s, one that John Deere had traditionally served well with its smaller utility tractors. These models proved that compact size did not mean limited capability, and they became favorites among mixed farms and operators who needed serious power in a manageable package. Despite their smaller frames, the 375 and 377 delivered impressive pulling power. They were well suited for medium cultivation, baling, mowing, and transport work. Their balance and maneuverability made them ideal for farms with tight yards, livestock operations, or varied terrain where larger tractors became cumbersome. Massey Ferguson emphasized mechanical durability in these models. Simple gearboxes, strong rear ends, and reliable PTO systems made them easy to maintain and repair. Many farmers found that these tractors spent far less time in the workshop compared to similarly sized Deere models that were becoming more refined and sometimes more fragile. The cab experience also improved during the 1980s, narrowing the comfort gap with Deere. Better visibility and reduced noise made these tractors suitable for long workdays, further increasing their appeal. The 375 and 377 didn't aim to replace Deere's flagship machines. Instead, they quietly chipped away at Deere's customer base by offering dependable, affordable alternatives that worked just as hard in real-world conditions. Number 3. Massey Ferguson 600 Series. The Massey Ferguson 600 series was unlike anything else MF had produced before, and that was exactly the point. Introduced in the early 1980s, the 600 series represented a bold attempt by Massey Ferguson to rethink tractor design at a time when John Deere dominated not just market share, but also farmer expectations. Instead of playing it safe, MF chose to experiment, and while the series was controversial, it directly challenged Deere's long-held assumptions about operator position, visibility, and tractor ergonomics. The most striking feature of the 600 series was its elevated cab layout. By mounting the cab higher and further forward, Massey Ferguson dramatically improved visibility over the bonnet and down to the front linkage and implements. For tasks like cultivation, drilling, and row work, this offered a genuine operational advantage. Operators could see more, react faster, and work with greater precision, something John Deere tractors of the time did not prioritize to the same extent. Underneath the unconventional design, the 600 series was mechanically solid. These tractors used proven engines and robust drivetrains designed for sustained fieldwork. In large open fields, they performed exceptionally well, delivering steady pulling power and dependable PTO performance. Farmers who adopted them for arable operations often reported excellent productivity and reliability, especially during long working days when consistency mattered more than comfort alone. However, the 600 series divided opinion. Some farmers loved the visibility and commanding driving position, while others found the high cab unfamiliar or awkward for yard work and transport. This mixed reception limited its commercial success, but that does not diminish its importance. The 600 series forced conversations across the industry about operator ergonomics, visibility, and fatigue. Even John Deere, known for conservative evolution, began paying closer attention to cab design and operator sightlines in the years that followed. In hindsight, the MF 600 series was ahead of its time. It may not have replaced Deere on sales charts, but it challenged Deere philosophically, proving Massey Ferguson was willing to innovate, take risks, and push tractor design forward instead of simply copying the market leader. Number 2. Massey Ferguson 398. The Massey Ferguson 398 stands as one of the most respected tractors MF built during the 1980s, and for good reason. This machine represented a near-perfect balance of power, durability, and comfort, exactly what farmers expected from a main workhorse tractor. Positioned just below the flagship 399, the 398 was often the smarter, more efficient choice for farms that needed serious capability without stepping into the highest horsepower class. The heart of the 398 was its strong six-cylinder engine, tuned for torque rather than outright speed. This allowed the tractor to pull heavy implements smoothly and efficiently, particularly during plowing and cultivation. Farmers valued how the power came on steadily, without strain, allowing the tractor to work long hours without overheating or excessive fuel consumption. In real-world farming, that kind of reliability was priceless. Cab comfort improved significantly, with the 398 narrowing the gap with John Deere's well-regarded operator environments. Visibility was excellent, noise levels were reduced, and the control layout was logical and familiar. Long days in the field became more manageable, which mattered immensely during planting and harvest windows. Where the MF 398 truly challenged John Deere was total cost of ownership. Comparable Deere models offered similar performance, but often at higher purchase prices and with more complex systems that increased service costs. The 398 retained Massey Ferguson's mechanical simplicity, meaning repairs were easier, parts were widely available, and independent mechanics could handle most issues without dealer intervention. This combination of strength, comfort, and practicality made the 398 a favorite among arable farms and contractors. It didn't just compete with Deere. It frequently replaced Deere on farms where owners wanted dependable performance without inflated long-term costs. Number 1. Massey Ferguson 399. The Massey Ferguson 399 earns the number 1 spot because it represents the clearest, most direct challenge Massey Ferguson ever mounted against John Deere during the 1980s. This was not a compromise tractor. It was not a budget alternative. It was a statement that MF could build a top-tier machine capable of replacing Deere at the heart of serious farming operations. Introduced in the late 1980s, the MF399 sat at the very top of Massey Ferguson's conventional tractor lineup. It was designed for heavy, continuous work, large plows, deep cultivation, heavy transport, and long PTO-driven operations. Its powerful six-cylinder engine delivered strong, consistent torque, allowing the tractor to pull hard all day without feeling stressed. Farmers often describe the 399 as effortless, a word traditionally reserved for John Deere's best machines. The Highline cab, especially in later versions, marked a major leap forward for Massey Ferguson. Noise reduction, improved ventilation, better seating, and excellent visibility transformed the operator experience. For the first time, many farmers felt that MF had truly matched Deere in comfort and, in some cases, exceeded it. Hydraulics and lift capacity were equally impressive. The 399 handled increasingly heavy 1980s-era implements with confidence, providing precise control and reliable performance. Just as importantly, it retained Massey Ferguson's core strength, serviceability. Despite its power and capability, the 399 remained mechanically logical and easy to maintain, ensuring lower downtime and predictable ownership costs. The MF399 didn't just compete with John Deere. It forced Deere owners to reconsider their loyalty. Many switched, many never looked back. That is why the Massey Ferguson 399 stands as the ultimate 1980s challenger. A tractor that proved Massey Ferguson could stand toe-to-toe with John Deere and win on real farms, in real conditions. Those Massey Ferguson tractors weren't just alternative, they were serious competitors. Built tough, priced right, and trusted in fields around the world. They proved that John Deere didn't own reliability or farmer loyalty. Even today, many of these 1980s Massey machines are still working, quietly reminding everyone how close this battle really was. Which Massey Ferguson model do you think challenged John Deere the hardest? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every one. If you love tractor history, real rivalries, and machines that earned their reputation, hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned. Until next time, keep the diesel burning and the legends alive.